24. Because Seven said we'd be all right, everything goes wrong. Most of the routes through the east side are blocked off by police, and it takes Seven forever to find one that isn't. About halfway to the store, the car grunts and slows down. "Come on," Seven says. He rubs the dashboard and pumps the gas. "Come on, baby." His baby basically says, "Fuck it," and stops. "Shit!" Seven rests his head on the steering wheel. "We're out of gas." "You're kidding, right?" Chris says. "I wish, man. It was low when we left your house, but I thought I could wait a while before I got gas. I know my car." "You obviously don't know shit," I say. We're next to some duplex houses. I don't know what street this is. I'm not familiar with the east side like that. Sirens go off nearby, and it's as hazy and smoky as the rest of the neighborhood. "There's a gas station not too far from here," Seven says. "Chris, can you help me push it?" "As in, get out the protection of this car and push it?" Chris asked. "Yeah, that. It'll be all right." Seven hops out. "That's what you said before," Chris mumbles, but he climbs out. Devante says, "I can push too." "Nah, man, you need to rest up," says Seven. "Just sit back, Star, get behind the wheel." This is the first time he's ever let anyone else drive his baby. He tells me to put the car in neutral and guide it with the steering wheel. He pushes next to me. Chris pushes on the passenger side. He constantly glances over his shoulder. The sirens get louder and the smoke thickens. Seven and Chris cough and cover their noses with their shirts. A pickup truck full of mattresses and people speeds by. We reach a slight hill, and Seven and Chris jog to keep up with the car. Slow down, Seven yells. I pump the brakes. The car stops at the bottom of the hill. Seven coughs into his shirt. "Hold on, I need a minute." I put the car in park. Chris bends over trying to catch his breath. "The smoke is killing me," he says. Seven straightens up and slowly blows air out his mouth. "Shit. We'll get to the gas station faster if we leave the car. The two of us can't push it all the way." "The hell? I'm sitting right here. I can push." "I know that, Star. Even if you did, we'll still be faster without it. Damn. I don't want to leave it here, though." "How about we split up?" Chris says. "Two of us stay here, and two of us go get some gas. And this is that white people shit you guys were talking about, isn't it?" "Yes," the rest of us say. "Told you," says Devante. Seven folds his hands and rests them on top of his dreads. Fuck. We gotta leave it. I get Seven's keys, and he grabs a gas can from the trunk. He caresses the car and whispers something to it. I think he says he loves it and promises to come back. Lord. The four of us start down the sidewalk and pull our shirts over our mouths and noses. Devante limps but swears he's all right. A voice in the distance says something I can't make out, and there's a thunderous response, like from a crowd. Chris and I walk behind the other two. His hand falls to his side, and he brushes up against me, his sly way of trying to hold my hand. I let him. "So this is where you used to live?" he says. I forgot this is his first time in Garden Heights. "Yeah, well, not this side of the neighborhood. I'm from the west side." "West side," Seven says, as Devante throws up a W. "The best side." "On my mama," Devante adds. I roll my eyes. People go too far with that what side of the neighborhood you from mess. "You saw that big apartment complex we passed? Those are the projects we lived in when I was younger." Chris nods. "That place where we parked? Was that the Taco Bell your dad took you and Seven to? Yeah, they opened a new one closer to the freeway a few years ago. Maybe we can go there one day, he says. Bruh, Devontae butts in. Please tell me you ain't considering taking your girl to Taco Bell for a date. Taco Bell? Seven hollers, laughing. Excuse me, was anybody talking to y'all? I ask. Hey, you my friend. I'm trying to help you out, says Devontae. Your boy ain't got no game. I have game, Chris says. I'm letting my girl know I'm happy to go with her anywhere, no matter what neighborhood it's in. As long as she's there, I'm good. He smiles at me without showing his teeth. I do too. Psh, it's still Taco Bell, says Devontae. By the end of the night, it'll be taco hell with them bubble guts. The voice is a bit louder now, not clear yet. A man and a woman run by on the sidewalk, pushing 2 shopping carts with flat-screen TVs in them. They wildin' out here, Devontae says with a chuckle, but grabs his side. King kicked you, didn't he? Seven says, with those big-ass Timbs on, right? Devontae whistles a breath out. He nods. Yeah, he did that to my mama once. Broke most of her ribs. A Rottweiler on a leash in a fenced-in yard barks and struggles to come after us. I stomp my foot at it. It squeals and jumps back. She's all right, Seven says, though it seems like he's trying to convince himself. Yeah, she's fine. A block away, people stand around in a 4-way intersection, watching something on one of the other streets. You need to exit the street, a voice announces from a loudspeaker. You are unlawfully blocking traffic. A hairbrush is not a gun. A hairbrush is not a gun, a voice chants from another loudspeaker. It's echoed back by a crowd. We get to the intersection. A red, green, and yellow school bus is parked on the street to our right. It says Just Us for Justice on the side. A large crowd is gathered in the street to our left. They point black hairbrushes into the air. The protesters are on Carnation, where it happened. I haven't been back here since that night. Knowing this is where Khalil... I stare too hard. The crowd disappears, and I see him lying in the street. The whole thing plays out before my eyes like a horror movie on repeat. He looks at me for the last time and... A hairbrush is not a gun! The voice snaps me from my daze. Ahead of the crowd, a lady with twists stands on top of a police car, holding a bullhorn. She turns toward us, her fist raised for Black Power. Khalil smiles on the front of her T-shirt. Ain't that your attorney, Star? Seven asks. Yeah. Now, I knew Miss Ofra was about that radical life, but when you think attorney, you don't really think person standing on a police car with a bullhorn, you know? Disperse immediately, the officer repeats. I can't see him for the crowd. Miss Ofra leads the chant again. A hairbrush is not a gun. A hairbrush is not a gun. It's contagious and echoes all around us. Seven, Devontae, and Chris join in. A hairbrush is not a gun, I mutter. Khalil drops it into the side of the door. A hairbrush is not a gun. He opens the door to ask if I'm okay. Then pow, pow. A hairbrush is not a gun! I scream loud as I can, fist high in the air, tears in my eyes. I'm going to invite Sister Freeman to come up and give a word about the injustice that took place tonight, Miss Ofra says. She hands the bullhorn to a lady who's also in a Khalil shirt, and she hops off the patrol car. The crowd lets her through, and Miss Ofra heads toward another co-worker who's standing near the bus at the intersection. She spots me and does a double take.
"Star," she says, making her way over, "what are you doing out here?"
When they announced the decision, I wanted to do something. So we came to the neighborhood. She eyes beat up Devontae.
"Oh my God, did you get caught in the riots?"
Devontae touches his face.
"Damn, I look that bad?"
That's not why he looks like that, I tell her. But we did get caught in the riots on Magnolia. It got crazy over there. Looters took over.
Miss Ofra purses her lips. "Yeah, we heard." "Just us for justice was fine when we left," Seven says. "Even if it's not, it's okay," says Miss Ofra. "You can destroy wood and brick, but you can't destroy a movement. Star, does your mother know you're out here?"
Yeah. Don't even sound convincing to myself.
"Really?"
Okay, no. Please don't tell her.
"I have to," she says. "As your attorney, I have to do what's in your best interest. Your mom knowing you're out here is in your best interest."
No, it's not, 'cause she'll kill me. But you're my attorney, not hers. Can't this be a client confidentiality thing?
"Star."
Please? During the other protests, I watched and talked, so now I want to do something.
"Who said talking isn't doing something?" she says. "It's more productive than silence. Remember what I told you about your voice?"
You said it's my biggest weapon.
"And I mean that."
She stares at me a second, then sighs out her nose.
"You want to fight the system tonight?"
I nod.
"Come on, then."
Miss Ofra takes my hand and leads me through the crowd.
"Fire me," she says.
Huh?
"Tell me you no longer want me to represent you."
I no longer want you to represent me? I ask.
"Good. As of now, I'm not your attorney, so if your parents find out about this, I didn't do it as your attorney, but as an activist. You saw that bus near the intersection?"
Yeah.
"If the officers react, run straight to it. Got it?"
But what? She takes me to the patrol car and motions at her colleague. The lady climbs off and hands Miss Ofra the bullhorn. Miss Ofra passes it over to me.
"Use your weapon," she says.
Another one of her coworkers lifts me and sets me on top of the cop car. About 10 feet away, there's a shrine for Khalil in the middle of the street. Lit candles, teddy bears, framed pictures, and balloons. It separates the protesters from a cluster of officers in riot gear. It's not nearly as many cops as it was on Magnolia, but still, they're cops. I turn toward the crowd. They watch me expectantly. The bullhorn is as heavy as a gun. Ironic since Miss Ofra said to use my weapon. I have the hardest time lifting it. Shit. I have no idea what to say. I put it near my mouth and press the button. It makes a loud, ear-splitting noise.
"Don't be scared,"
somebody in the crowd yells.
"Speak!" "You need to exit the street immediately," the cop says.
You know what? Fuck it.
"My name is Star. I'm the one who saw what happened to Khalil,"
I say into the bullhorn.
"And it wasn't right."
I get a bunch of yeahs and amens from the crowd.
"We weren't doing anything wrong. Not only did Officer Cruz assume we were up to no good, he assumed we were criminals. Well, Officer Cruz is the criminal."
The crowd cheers and claps. Miss Ofra says, "Speak!" That amps me up. I turn to the cops.
"I'm sick of this. Just like y'all think all of us are bad because of some people, we think the same about y'all. Until you give us a reason to think otherwise, we'll keep protesting."
More cheers. And I can't lie, it eggs me on. Forget trigger happy. Speaker happy is more my thing. Everybody wants to talk about how Khalil died, I say. But this isn't about how Khalil died. It's about the fact that he lived. His life mattered. Khalil lived. I look at the cops again. You hear me? Khalil lived.
You have until the count of 3 to disperse,
the officer on the loudspeaker says. Khalil lived, we chant.
1.
Khalil lived.
2.
Khalil lived.
3.
Khalil lived. The can of tear gas sails toward us from the cops. It lands beside the patrol car. I jump off and pick up the can. Smoke whizzes out the end of it. Any second, it'll combust. I scream at the top of my lungs, hoping Khalil hears me, and chuck it back at the cops. It explodes and consumes them in a cloud of tear gas. All hell breaks loose. The cops stampede over Khalil's shrine, and the crowd runs. Someone grabs my arm, Ms. Ofra. Go to the bus, she says. I get about halfway there when Chris and Seven catch me.
Come on,
Seven says, and they pull me with them. I try to tell them about the bus, but explosions go off and thick white smoke engulfs us. My nose and throat burn as if I swallowed fire. My eyes feel like flames lick them. Something whizzes overhead. Then an explosion goes off in front of us. More smoke.
Devante,
Chris croaks, looking around. Devante! We find him leaning against a flickering street light. He coughs and heaves. Seven lets me go and grabs him by the arm.
Shit, man, my eyes. I can't breathe.
We run. Chris grips my hand as tight as I grip his. There are screams and loud pops in every direction. Can't see a thing for the smoke, not even the Just Us bus.
I can't run. My side, Devante says. Shit. Come on, man, Seven says, pulling him. Keep going.
Bright lights barrel down the street through the smoke. A gray pickup truck on oversized wheels. It stops beside us, the window rolls down, and my heart stops, waiting for the gun to come pointing out, courtesy of a King Lord. But Goon, the Cedar Grove King Lord with the ponytails, looks at us from the driver's seat, a gray bandana over his nose and mouth.
Get in the back, he says.
2 guys and a girl around our age, wearing white bandanas on their faces, help us into the back of the truck. It's an open invitation and other people climb in, like this white man in a shirt and tie, and a Latino holding a camera on his shoulder. The white man looks oddly familiar. Goon drives off. Devante lies in the bed of the truck. He holds his eyes and rolls in agony.
Shit, man. Shit. Bree, get him some milk,
Goon says through the back window.
Milk?
We're out, Unc, says the girl in the bandana.
Fuck, Goon hisses. Hold on, Vontae.
Tears and snot drip down my face. My eyes are damn near numb from burning. The truck slows down.
Get lil' homie,
Goon says. The 2 guys in the bandanas grab some kid on the street by his arms and lift him into the truck. The kid looks around 13. His shirt is covered in soot, and he coughs and heaves. I get into a coughing fit. Snorting is like hacking up hot coals. The man in the shirt and tie hands me his dampened handkerchief.
It'll help some, he says. Put it against your nose and breathe through it.
It gives me a small amount of clean air. I pass it to Chris. He uses it. Passes it to Seven beside him. Seven uses it and passes it to someone else.
As you can see, Jim, the man says, looking at the camera, there are a lot of youth out here protesting tonight, black and white. I'm the token, huh? Chris mutters to me before coughing. I'd laugh if it didn't hurt. And you have people like this gentleman going around the neighborhood helping out where they can, the white man says. Driver, what's your name? The Latino turns the camera toward Goon. Nunya, Goon says. Thank you, Nunya, for giving us a ride. Wow. I realize why he looks familiar, though. He's a national news anchor. Brian somebody. This young lady here made a powerful statement earlier, he says, and the camera points toward me. Are you really the witness? I nod. No point hiding anymore. We caught what you said back there. Anything else you'd like to add for our viewers? Yeah. None of this makes sense. I start coughing again. He leaves me alone. When my eyes aren't closed, I see what my neighborhood has become. More tanks, more cops in riot gear, more smoke. Businesses ransacked. Street lights are out, and fires keep everything from being in complete darkness. People run out of the Walmart and carry armfuls of items, looking like ants rushing from an anthill. The untouched businesses have boarded up windows and graffiti that says Black owned. We eventually turn onto Marigold Avenue, and even with the fire in my lungs, I take a deep breath. Our store is in one piece. The windows are boarded up with that same Black owned tag on them, like it's lamb's blood protecting the store from the plague of death. The street is pretty still. Top Shelf Spirits and Wine is the only business with broken windows. It doesn't have a Black-owned tag either. Goon stops in front of our store. He jumps out, comes to the back of the truck, and helps everyone out. Star, Sev, y'all got a key? I pat my pockets for Seven's keys and toss them to Goon. He tries each key until one unlocks the door. In here, y'all, he says. Everyone, including the cameraman and reporter, go in the store. Goon and one of the guys in the bandana get Devante and carry him inside. No sign of Daddy. I crawl onto the floor and fall on my stomach, blinking fast. My eyes burn and fill with tears. Goon sets Devante on the old people's bench before running toward the refrigerator. He rushes back with a gallon of milk and pours it into Devante's face. The milk momentarily turns him white. Devante coughs and sputters. Goon pours more. Stop, Devante says. You about to drown me. I bet your eyes ain't hurt no more, though, Goon replies. I half crawl, half run to the refrigerators and get a gallon for myself. I pour it on my face. The relief comes in seconds. People pour milk onto their faces while the cameraman records it all. An older lady drinks from a gallon. Milk pools on the floor, and a college-aged guy lies face down in it and gasps for air. When people get the relief they need, they leave. Goon grabs a bunch of cartons of milk and asks, Hey, can we take this in case somebody needs it on the street? Seven nods and sips from a carton. Thanks, little homie. If I see your pops again, I'll tell him y'all here. You saw our... I cough and sip some milk, dousing the flames in my lungs. You saw our dad? Yeah, a little while ago. He was looking for y'all. Oh, shit. Sir, the reporter says to Goon, can we ride along? We'd like to see more of the neighborhood. Ain't no thing, homie. Hop in the back. He turns to the camera and twists his fingers so they resemble a K and an L. See the Grove Kings, baby. Crowns up. Adio. He gives the King Lord call. Leave it to Goon to throw gang signs on live TV. They leave us alone in the store. Seven, Chris and I are in the pool of milk with our knees up to our chests. Devante's arms and legs dangle off the old people's bench. He chugs back some milk. Seven takes his phone from his pocket. Damn, my phone's dead. Star, you got yours? Yeah,
I have way too many voicemails and way too many texts, most of them from Mama. I play the voicemails first. They start out safe enough with Mama saying, "Star, baby, call me as soon as you get this, okay?" But they soon become, "Star, Amara, I know you're getting these messages. Call me. I'm not playing." They progress to, "See, you've taken this too far. Carlos and I are heading out the door right now, and you better pray to God we don't find you." And on the last message left a few minutes ago, Mama says, "Oh, so you can't return my calls, but you can lead protests, huh? Mama told me she saw you on live TV giving speeches and throwing tear gas at cops. I swear I'm gonna snatch your life if you don't call me."
"We in deep shit, man," Devante says. "Deep shit."
Seven glances at his watch.
"Damn, we been gone about 4 hours." "Deep shit," Devante repeats. "Maybe the 4 of us can get a place in Mexico?" says Chris.
I shake my head. Not far enough for our mom. Seven picks at his face. The milk has dried and formed a crust.
"All right, we need to call them. And if we call from the office phone, Ma will see it on the caller ID and know we're not lying when we say we're here. That'll help, right?"
We're at least 3 hours too late for any help, I say. Seven stands and gives me and Chris a hand up. He helps Devante off the bench.
"Come on, make sure y'all sound remorseful, all right?"
We head for Daddy's office. The front door creaks. Something thuds onto the floor. I turn around. A glass bottle with flaming cloth. Woof! The store is suddenly lit bright orange. A heat wave hits like the sun dropped in. Flames lick the ceiling and block the door. 25. An entire aisle is already engulfed.
"The back door," Seven says, choked up. "The back door."
Chris and Devante follow us down the narrow hall near Daddy's office. It leads to the restroom and the back door where deliveries are unloaded. Smoke's already filling the hall. Seven pushes the door. It doesn't budge. He and Chris ram their shoulders against it, but it's bulletproof, shoulder-proof, everything-proof. The burglar bars won't let us out anyway.
"Star, my keys," Seven croaks.
I shake my head. I gave them to Goon, and the last time I saw them, he left them in the front door. Devante coughs. It's getting harder to breathe with all the smoke.
"Man, we can't die up in here. I don't want to die."
"Shut up," Chris says. "We're not gonna die." I cough into the crook of my arm. "Daddy may have a spare," I say, and my voice is thin. "In his office." We rush back down the hall, but the office door is locked too. "Fuck!" Seven screams. Mr. Lewis limps into the middle of the street. He grips a baseball bat in each hand. He glances around like he's trying to figure out where the smoke is coming from. With the boards on the windows, he can't see the inferno in the store unless he looks through the front door. "Mr. Lewis!" I scream as loud as I can. The guys join in. The smoke strangles our voices. The flames dance feet away, but I swear it's like I'm standing in them. Mr. Lewis limps toward the store, squinting his eyes. They widen as he looks in through the door, straight at us on the other side of the flames. "Oh, Lord!" He limps into the street faster than I've ever seen him move. "Help! These kids stuck up in here! Help!" There's a loud crackling to our right. The fire takes out another shelf. Mr. Rubin's nephew, Tim, runs over and opens the front door, but the flames are too much. "Go to the back door," he calls to us. Tim almost beats us getting there. He yanks hard on the door and the glass rattles. The way he's pulling, the door will come off eventually. We don't have eventually time, though. Tires screech outside. Moments later, Daddy runs up to the back door.
"Watch out,"
he tells Tim, moving him out the way. Daddy fumbles for his keys and sticks several in the lock while muttering, "Please, God, please." I can barely see Seven, Chris, or Devontae for all the smoke, and they're coughing and wheezing next to me. A click. The knob turns. The door flies open. We rush out. Fresh air fills my lungs. Daddy pulls me and Seven through the alley around the corner and across the street to Reuben's. Tim gets Devontae and Chris. They make us sit on the sidewalk. Tires screech again and Mama goes, "Oh my God!" She runs over. Uncle Carlos on her heels. She holds my shoulders and helps me lie on the sidewalk. "Breathe, baby," she says. "Breathe." But I have to see. I sit up. Daddy attempts to run into the store for God knows what. The flames swat him back. Tim rushes a bucket of water from his uncle's restaurant. He runs into our store and douses it on the flames, but he's forced to jump back too. People trickle onto the street, and more buckets of sloshing water are hauled into the store. Ms. Yvette carries one from her beauty shop. Tim tosses it onto the fire. Flames eat away at the roof, and smoke billows from the windows of the barber shop next door. "My shop!" Mr. Lewis cries. Mr. Reuben stops him from running toward it. "My shop!" Daddy stands in the middle of the street, breathing hard, looking helpless. A crowd has gathered, and people watch with their hands pressed to their mouths. Bass rattles nearby. Daddy slowly turns his head. The gray BMW is parked in the intersection near the liquor store. King leans up against it. Some other King lords stand alongside him and sit on the hood of the car. They laugh and point. King stares straight at Daddy and takes out his cigarette lighter. He sparks a flame. Aisha said King was gonna fuck us up because I dry snitched. That meant my whole family. This is it.
"You son of a bitch!"
Daddy marches toward King, and King's boys advance toward Daddy. Uncle Carlos stops him. The King lords reach for their pieces and tell Daddy to bring it. King laughs like it's a comedy show.
"You think this shit funny?"
Daddy yells.
"Punk ass! Always hiding behind your boys."
King stops laughing.
"Yeah, I said it. I ain't scared of you. You ain't shit to be scared of. Trying to burn up some kids, you fucking coward!"
Oh, Mama starts for King, and Uncle Carlos has to work overtime to hold her back, too.
"He burned Maverick's store down,"
Mr. Lewis announces to everybody, in case we didn't hear.
"King burned Maverick's store down."
It bubbles around the crowd, and narrowed eyes set on King. Of course, that's when the cops and the fire truck decide to show up. Of course, because that's how it works in Garden Heights. Uncle Carlos convinces my parents to back away. King lifts his cigar to his lips, eyes gleaming. I want to get one of Mr. Lewis's baseball bats and knock him upside his head. The firefighters get to work. The cops order the crowd to back up. King and his boys are really amused now. Shit, it's like the cops are helping them out.
"You need to be getting them," Mr. Lewis says. "They the ones who started the fire." "That old man don't know what he talking about," King says. "All this smoke done got to him."
Mr. Lewis starts to charge at King, and an officer has to hold him back.
"I ain't crazy. You did start it. Everybody know it."
King's face twitches.
"You better watch yourself. Lying on folks."
Daddy glances back at me, and there's this expression on his face that I've never seen before. He turns around to the cop who's holding Mr. Lewis and says,
"He ain't lying. King did start it, officer."
Holy shit. Daddy snitched.
"It's my store," he says. I know he started the fire. Did you see him do it? The cop asks. No, that's the problem. We know King did it, but if nobody saw it. I saw him, Mr. Rubin says. He did it. I saw him too, Tim says. So did I, Ms. Yvette adds. And shit, now the crowd is echoing the same thing, pointing at King and his boys. I mean, everybody snitching. The rules no fucking longer apply. King reaches for his car door, but some of the officers draw their guns and order him and his boys to the ground. An ambulance arrives. Mama tells them about our smoke inhalation. I snitch and tell them about Devante, although his black eye makes it obvious he needs help. They let the 4 of us sit on the curb, and they put oxygen masks on us. I thought I wasn't that bad anymore, but I forgot how nice clean air is. I've been breathing in smoke since I got to Garden Heights. They look at Devante's side. It's purple-looking, and they tell him he'll need to go in for x-rays. He doesn't want to go in the ambulance, and Mama assures the paramedics that she'll take him in herself. I rest my head on Chris's shoulder as we hold hands, oxygen masks on both of us. I'm not going to lie and say tonight was better because he was here. Frankly, this has been one fucked up night. Nothing could make it better. But it doesn't hurt that we went through it together. My parents come our way. Daddy's lips thin, and he mumbles something to Mama. She elbows him and says, "Be nice." She sits between Chris and Seven. Daddy hovers over me and Chris at first, as if he's expecting us to make room for him. "Maverick," Mama says. Aight. He sits on the other side of me. We watch the firefighters put out the flames. No point, though. They're only saving a shell of the store. Daddy sighs, rubbing his bald head. Damn, man. My heart aches. We're losing a family member for real. I've spent most of my life in that store. I moved my head off Chris and rested on Daddy's shoulder. He puts his arm around me and kisses my hair. I don't miss that smug look that crosses his face. Petty. Wait a minute. He pulls away. Where the hell y'all been? That's what I want to know, Mama says, acting like you can't answer my texts or calls. Really? Seven and I almost died in a fire. And they're mad 'cause we didn't call them? I lift my mask and say, "Long night." "Oh, I'm sure it was," Mama says. "We got ourselves a little radical, Maverick. All on the news, throwing tear gas at the cops." "After they threw it at us," I point out. "What?" Daddy says, but in that impressed way. Mama cuts him a side eye and he says in a more stern tone, "I mean, what? What you do that for?" "I was mad." I fold my arms onto my knees and stare at my Timbs through the gap. "That decision wasn't right." Daddy puts his arm around me again and rests his head against mine. A daddy snuggle. "Nah," he says. "It wasn't." "Hey." Mama beckons me to look at her. "The decision may not have been right, but it's not your fault. Remember what I said? Sometimes things will go wrong, but the key is to keep doing right." My eyes drift to my Timbs again. Khalil still deserved better than that. "Yeah." Her voice thickens. "He did." Daddy looks past me at my boyfriend. "So, plain ass Chris." Seven snorts, Devante snickers. Mama goes, "Maverick," as I say, "Daddy." "At least it's not white boy," Chris says. "Exactly," Daddy says. It's a step up. You gotta earn my tolerance in increments if you gonna date my daughter.
Lord. Mama rolls her eyes. Chris, baby, you've been out here all night? The way she says it, I can't help but laugh. She's basically asking him, you do realize you're in the hood, right?
Yes, ma'am, Chris says. All night. Daddy grunts. Maybe you do got some balls then.
My mouth drops and Mama says, Maverick Carter. Seven and Devante crack up. But Chris says,
Yes, sir. I'd like to think I do.
Damn, says Seven. He reaches to give Chris dap, but Daddy cuts him a hard eye, and he pulls his hand back.
Aight, plain-ass Chris. Daddy says, boxing gym. Next Saturday. You and me.
Chris lifts his oxygen mask so fast.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said, calm down, I'm not gonna fight you. Daddy says, we gonna train. Get to know each other. You been seeing my daughter for a minute now. I gotta know you, and you can learn a lot about a man at a boxing gym.
Oh. Chris's shoulders relax.
Okay.
He puts the oxygen mask back on. Daddy grins. It's a little too mischievous for my liking. He's gonna kill my poor boyfriend. The cops load King and his boys into patrol cars, and the crowd claps and cheers. Finally, something to celebrate tonight. Uncle Carlos strolls over. He's got on a wife beater and shorts, which is so not Uncle Carlos. Yet something about him still looks detective-y. He's been in cop mode since his colleagues arrived. Uncle Carlos gives this old man grunt as he lowers himself onto the sidewalk next to Devante. He grabs the back of Devante's neck, the same way Daddy grabs Seven's. Man hugs, I call them.
I'm glad you're safe, kid, he says. Even if you do look like a truck ran over you twice. You not mad I left without telling y'all? Of course I'm mad. I'm actually pissed. But I'm happier that you're safe. Now my mom and Pam, that's a whole different story. I can't save you from their wrath.
Are you putting me out?
No. You're grounded, probably for the rest of your life, but that's only because we love you.
Devante cracks a smile. Uncle Carlos pats his knees.
So, thanks to all these witnesses, we should get King for arson. Oh, for real? Daddy says. Yep, it's a start, but not really enough. He'll be out by the end of the week.
And back to the same old shit. With targets this time.
If y'all knew where King's stash was, Devante says, would that help?
Uncle Carlos says,
probably, yeah. If somebody agreed to rat on him, would that help?
Uncle Carlos turns completely toward him. Are you saying you want to turn witness?
I mean,
Devante pauses.
Will it help Kenya, her mama, and her sister? If King went to jail, says Seven, yeah, a lot. It'll help the whole neighborhood, honestly, Daddy says. And I'll be protected? Devante asks Uncle Carlos. Absolutely, I promise.
And Uncle Carlos always keeps his promises, I say. Devante nods for a moment.
Then I guess I will turn witness.
Holy shit again. You sure about that? I ask.
Yeah. After seeing you face those cops the way you did, I don't know, man. That did something to me, he says. And that lady said our voices are weapons. I should use mine, right? So you're willing to become a snitch, Chris says. On King, Seven adds.
Devante shrugs.
I already need the stitches. Might as well snitch.
26. It's around 11 the next morning and I'm still in bed. After the longest night ever, I had to seriously get reacquainted with my pillow. My mom flicks on the lights in my new room. Good Lord, it's too many lights in here. "Star, your partner in crime is on the phone," she says. "Who?" I mumble. "Your protest partner in crime. Mama told me she saw her hand you that bullhorn on TV, putting you in danger like that. But she didn't mean to put me in. Oh, I've dealt with her already, don't worry. Here. She wants to apologize to you." Miss Ofra does apologize for putting me in a bad situation and for the way things turned out with Khalil, but she says she's proud of me. She also says she thinks I have a future in activism. Mama leaves with the phone, and I turn onto my side. Tupac stares back at me from a poster, a smirk on his face. The Thug Life tattoo on his stomach looks bolder than the rest of the photo. It was the first thing I put in my new room, kinda like bringing Khalil with me. He said Thug Life stood for, "The hate you give little infants fucks everybody." We did all that stuff last night because we were pissed, and it fucked all of us. Now we have to somehow unfuck everybody. I sit up and grab my phone off my nightstand. There are texts from Maya, who saw me on the news and thinks I'm dope personified, and texts from Chris. His parents grounded him, but he says it was so worth it, it really was. There's another text from Haley, of all people. 2 simple words. "I'm sorry." Not what I expected. Not that I expected to get anything from her. Not that I even want to deal with her. This is the first time she's spoken to me since our fight. I'm not complaining. She's been non-existent to me, too. I respond anyway. Sorry for what? I'm not being petty. Petty would be saying, "New number, who dis?" There's a damn near endless list of things she could be apologizing for. About the decision, she says. And that you're upset with me. Haven't been myself lately. Just want everything to be how it used to be. The sympathy for the case is nice, but she's sorry I'm upset? That's not the same as apologizing for her actions or the garbage she said. She's sorry I reacted the way I did. Oddly enough, I needed to know that. You see, it's like my mom said. If the good outweighs the bad, I should keep Haley as a friend. There's a shit ton of bad now. An overload of bad. I hate to admit that a teeny tiny part of me hoped Haley would see how wrong she was. But she hasn't. She may not ever see that. And you know what? That's fine. Okay. Maybe not fine, because it makes her a shitty-ass person. But I don't have to wait around for her to change. I can let go. I reply. Things will never be the way they used to be. I hit send, wait for the text to go through, and delete the conversation. I delete Haley's number from my phone, too. I stretch and yawn as I creep down the hall. The layout of our new house is way different than our old one, but I think I can get used to it. Daddy clips some roses at the kitchen counter. Next to him, Sakani inhales a sandwich, and Bricks stands on his hind legs with his paws on Sakani's lap. He watches the sandwich the same way he watches a squirrel. Mama flips switches on the wall. One causes a grinding noise in the sink, and another turns the lights off and on. Too many switches, she mumbles, and notices me. Oh, look, Maverick. It's our little revolutionary. Brick scuttles over to me and jumps up my legs, tongue wagging. Morning, I tell him, and scratch behind his ears. He gets down and returns to Sakani and the sandwich. Do me a favor, Star, Seven says, searching through a box that has kitchen stuff written on it in my handwriting. Next time,
Be more specific about what type of kitchen stuff is in the box. I've gone through 3 trying to find plates.
I climb onto a stool at the counter. Lazy butt, isn't that what paper towels are for? 7 narrows his eyes.
Hey, Pops, guess where I picked Star up from yesterday?
The plates are in the bottom of that box, I say.
Thought so.
My middle finger wants to extend so bad.
Daddy says, you bet not have been at that boy's house. I know that.
I force a smile. No, of course not. I'm gonna kill 7. Daddy sucks his teeth.
Uh-huh.
He goes back to work on his roses. An entire bush lies on the counter. The roses are dry, and some of the petals have fallen off. Daddy sets the bush in a clay pot and pours dirt over the roots. Will they be all right? I ask.
Yeah. A little damaged, but alive. I'm gonna try something different with them. Putting them in new soil can be like hitting a reset button.
Star, Sekani says, mouth full of wet bread and meat. Nasty. You're in the newspaper. Stop talking with your mouth full, boy, Mama scolds. Daddy nods toward the newspaper on the counter.
Yeah, check it out, little Black Panther.
I'm on the front page. The photographer caught me mid-throw. The can of tear gas smokes in my hand. The headline reads, "The Witness Fights Back." Mama rests her chin on my shoulder. They've discussed you on every news show this morning. Your Nana calls every 5 minutes telling us a new channel to watch. She kisses my cheek. I know you better not scare me like that again. I won't. What are they saying on the news?
They calling you brave, Daddy says. But you know, that one network gotta complain, saying you put them cops in danger.
I didn't have a problem with those cops. I had a problem with that tear gas can, and they threw it first.
I know, baby. Don't even stress it. That whole network can kiss my...
Dollar, Daddy. Sekani grins up at him.
Roses. They can kiss my roses.
He smudges dirt on Sekani's nose.
You ain't getting another $1 out of me.
He knows, 7 says, glaring at Sekani. Sekani gets guilty puppy dog eyes that could give bricks some competition. Mama moves her chin off my shoulder. Okay, what's that about?
Nothing. I told Sekani we gotta be careful with money now.
He said we might have to go back to Garden Heights, too, Sekani rats. Do we? No, of course not, Mama says. Guys, we'll make this work.
Exactly, Daddy says. If I have to sell oranges on the side of the street like the Nation brothers, we'll make it.
Is it okay to leave, though? I ask. I mean, the neighborhood is messed up. What are people going to think about us leaving instead of helping fix it? Never ever thought I'd say something like that. But last night has me thinking about all of this so differently. About me differently. About Garden Heights differently.
We can still help fix it, Daddy says.
Right. I'm going to do extra shifts at the clinic, Mama says.
And I'm going to figure something out to do about the store till I get it renovated, says Daddy. We ain't gotta live there to change things, baby. We just gotta give a damn, aight?
All right. Mama kisses my cheek and runs a hand over my hair. Look at you. Community-minded all of a sudden. Maverick, what time did the claims agent say he was coming? Daddy closes his eyes and pinches the space between them.
In a couple of hours. I don't even want to see it.
It's okay, Daddy, Sekani says, with a mouthful of sandwich. You don't have to go by yourself. We'll go with you. So we do. 2 police cars block off the entrance to Garden Heights. Daddy shows them his ID and explains why we need to go in. I'm able to breathe during the whole exchange, and they let us through. Damn. I see why they aren't letting people in, though. Smoke has taken up permanent residence, and glass and all kinds of trash litter the streets. We pass so many blackened frames of what used to be businesses. The store is the hardest to see. The burned roof folds into itself like the slightest wind will knock it over. The bricks and burglar bars protect charred rubble. Mr. Lewis sweeps the sidewalk in front of his shop. It's not as bad off as the store, but a broom and a dustpan won't make it better. Daddy parks in front of the store and we get out. Mama rubs and squeezes Daddy's shoulder. Star, Sekani whispers and looks back at me. The store. His eyes have tears in them, and then mine do too. I drape my arms over his shoulders and hug him to me. I know, man. A loud creaking sound approaches, and somebody whistles a tune. 40 Ounce pushes his shopping cart down the sidewalk. As hot as it is, he's wearing his camouflage coat. He comes to an abrupt stop in front of the store like he just noticed it. God damn, Maverick, he says in that fast 40 Ounce way where it all sounds like one word. What the hell happened?
Man, where were you last night? Daddy says. My store got burned up.
I went on the other side of the freeway. Couldn't stay here. Oh no, I knew these fools would go crazy. You got insurance? I hope you do. I got insurance.
What for? I ask. Because seriously.
My life,
he says, like it's obvious.
You gonna rebuild, Maverick?
I don't know, man. I gotta think about it.
You have to, 'cause now we won't have no store. Everybody else gonna leave and never come back.
I'll think about it.
Okay. If you need anything, let me know.
And he pushes his cart down the sidewalk, but comes to an abrupt stop again.
The liquor store gone too? Oh no!
I snicker. Only 40 Ounce. Mr. Lewis limps over with his broom.
That fool got a point. Folks will need a store around here. Everybody else gonna leave.
I know, Daddy says. It's a lot, Mr. Lewis.
I know it is, but you can handle it. I told Clarence what happened.
He says of Mr. Wyatt, his friend who used to own the store.
He thinks you ought to stick around. And we were talking, and I think it's about time for me to do like him. Sit on a beach and watch some pretty women.
You closing the shop?
Seven asks. Who's gonna cut my hair? Sekani adds. Mr. Lewis looks down at him.
Not my problem. Since you gonna be the only store around here, Maverick, you'll need more space when you rebuild. I want to give you the shop.
What? Mama sputters.
Whoa, now wait a minute, Mr. Lewis. Daddy says.
Wait nothing, I got insurance. And I'm gonna get more than enough from that. Ain't nothing I can do with a burned up shop. You can build a nice store, give folks something to be proud to shop in. All I ask is that you put up some pictures of Dr. Kang alongside your Newey, whoever he was.
Daddy chuckles.
Huey Newton.
Yeah, him. I know y'all moving, and I'm glad. But the neighborhood still needs more men like you, even if you just running a store.
The insurance man arrives a little later, and Daddy gives him a tour of what's left. Mama gets some gloves and garbage bags from the truck, passes them to me and my brothers, and tells us to get to work. It's kind of hard with people driving by and honking their horns. They yell out stuff like, "Keep your heads up," or "We got your back." Some of them come and help out, like Mrs. Rooks and Tim. Mr. Rubin brings us ice-cold bottles of water, 'cause this sun ain't no joke. I sit on the curb, sweating, tired, and 100% ready to be done. We aren't anywhere near finished. A shadow casts over me and somebody says, "Hey." I shield my eyes as I look up. Kenya's wearing an oversized t-shirt and some basketball shorts. They look like sevens. Hey. She sits next to me and pulls her knees up to her chest. I saw you on TV, she says. I told you to speak out, but damn, Star, you took it kind of far. It got people talking though, didn't it? Yeah. Sorry about the store. I heard my daddy did it. He did. No point in denying it, shoot. How's your mama? Kenya pulls her knees closer. He beat her. She ended up in the hospital. They kept her overnight. She got a concussion and a whole bunch of other stuff. But she'll be okay. We saw her a little while ago. The cops came, and we had to leave. Really? Yeah. They raided our house earlier and wanted to ask her some questions. Me and Lyric gotta stay with Grandma right now. Devante struck already. You okay with that? I'm relieved, actually. Messed up, huh? Nah, not really. She scratches one of her cornrows, which somehow makes all of them move in the same back-and-forth motion. I'm sorry for calling Seven my brother and not our brother. Oh, I kind of forgot about that. It seems minor after everything that's happened. It's all right. I guess I called him my brother 'cause it made me feel like he really was my brother, you know? He is your brother, Kenya. I honestly get jealous of how much he wants to be with you and Lyric. Because he thinks he has to be, she says. He wants to be with y'all. I mean, I get why. He and Daddy don't get along. But I wish he wanted to be my brother sometimes and didn't feel like he had to be. He ashamed of us. 'Cause of our mama and my daddy. No, he's not. Yeah, he is. You ashamed of me, too. I've never said that. You didn't have to, Star, she says. You never invited me to hang out with you and them girls. They were never at your house when I was. Like you ain't want them to know I was your friend, too. You were ashamed of me. Khalil, even the gardener, and you know it. I go quiet. If I face the truth, as ugly as it is, she's right. I was ashamed of Garden Heights and everything in it. It seems stupid now, though. I can't change where I come from or what I've been through. So why should I be ashamed of what makes me me? That's like being ashamed of myself. Nah, fuck that. Maybe I was ashamed, I admit. But I'm not anymore. And Seven's not ashamed of you, your mama, or Lyric. He loves y'all, Kenya. So like I said, our brother, not just mine. Trust, I'm more than happy to share if it means getting him off my back. He can be a pain in the ass, can't he? Girl, yes. We laughed together. As much as I've lost, I've gained some good stuff, too. Like Kenya. Yeah, all right, she says. I guess we can share him. Chop, chop, Star, Mama calls, clapping her hands as if that'll make me move faster. Still on her dictatorship, I swear. We've got work to do, Kenya. I got a bag and some gloves with your name on them if you want to help out. Kenya turns to me like, seriously? I can share her, too, I say. Matter of fact, please take her. We laugh and stand up. Kenya glances around at the rubble. More neighbors have joined in on cleaning up, and they form a line that moves trash out the store and into the trash cans on the curb. So what y'all gonna do now? Kenya asks. With the store, I mean. A car honks at us, and the driver yells out to let us know he has our back. The answer comes easily. We'll rebuild. Once upon a time, there was a hazel-eyed boy with dimples. I called him Khalil. The world called him a thug. He lived, but not nearly long enough. And for the rest of my life, I'll remember how he died. Fairy tale? No. But I'm not giving up on a better ending. It would be easy to quit if it was just about me, Khalil, that night, and that cop. It's about way more than that, though. It's about Seven, Sekani, Kenya, Devante. It's also about Oscar, Ayanna, Trayvon, Rakia, Michael, Eric, Tamir, John, Ezell, Sandra, Freddie, Alton, Philando. It's even about that little boy in 1955 who nobody recognized at first, Emmett. The messed up part? There are so many more. Yet I think it'll change one day. How? I don't know. When? I definitely don't know. Why? Because there will always be someone ready to fight. Maybe it's my turn. Others are fighting too, even in the garden, where sometimes it feels like there's not a lot worth fighting for. People are realizing and shouting and marching and demanding. They're not forgetting. I think that's the most important part. Khalil, I'll never forget. I'll never give up. I'll never be quiet. I promise.